Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Mood of the Day, a South Korean romantic comedy from 2016. Soo-jeong has been dating her boyfriend for 10 years, but their relationship is not going too well. On the day of her business trip, she finds out that her friend is getting married with her first love. So she begins feeling quite regretful and contemplative. Now on the train, she sits next to a womanizer named Ja-hyeon, who tries everything he can to get her into bed. After a series of unforeseen events, they continually cross paths on their trip to Busan and consequently get to know each other. So there are essentially two reasons why I watch this movie. Number one, it's a South Korean romantic comedy. And number two, it stars Chae-won Moon, who's one of my favorite Korean actresses. Now, she's most well known as a television queen, so to speak, with appearances in K-dramas like The Painter of Wind, Brilliant Legacy, My Fair Lady, Good Doctor, and others. But she also starred in an excellent action film War of the Arrows as well. She has a knack for playing flawed characters who have likable and dislikable qualities. See Brilliant Legacy for an example of that. And that comes in handy for her role in Mood of the Day, as we'll see in a minute. She's definitely charismatic and has screen presence. I'll watch this girl in anything. Now, compared to many other Korean rom-coms, the romance in Mood of the Day is actually a bit on the cool side for a film of this kind. You know, it's not flamboyantly romantic in what happens here. You know, with lots of heartwarming interaction between the lovebirds and stuff like that. So the lack of that may turn some viewers off. But I kind of like that because the interaction is mostly portrayed as if the characters merely have the potential for a short-term fling, which is a little bit different. You know, it may or may not turn out like that, but that's the way it's presented throughout. Also, the humor is very laid back in this, which facilitates a calmer mood for the film. But with that said, there are a lot of charming little moments to enjoy in this. Like what happens when our protagonist tries to move seats away from this womanizer. You know, so they're on a train for like the first, handful of minutes in the film. She's like, okay, this guy's a slime ball. I gotta get away from him. And it's funny what happens. It's pretty funny stuff. Also, the colleague of this guy consistently gets left behind by him as he's pursuing this girl. And leaves his colleague in some bad situations, which is also pretty funny. So this is certainly an amusing film. And like everything else nowadays, some critics found this film offensive because the male lead was trying to sleep with the female lead throughout the film. You know, that was his primary goal. And we should never portray a man this way in a film because no man has ever done such a thing in real life. And the possibility of a woman who is in a stale, long-term relationship actually contemplating such an encounter is also extremely offensive. We should never portray a woman in this way in a film because no woman has ever done such a thing in real life, right? But in all seriousness, you know, cheating on a significant other is a terrible thing to do. So the fact that our female lead is contemplating such an act throughout the film could add an unlikable dimension to her character for some viewers. She's a very likable person overall, but she's so disenchanted with her current relationship that she's thinking that having a fling might give her the initiative to break up with her boyfriend. It's the wrong way to go about things, but I find it to be kind of an interesting aspect of her character. And what about our womanizing male lead? Well, he does not have a girlfriend, so his behavior could be, criticized for being a bit too direct and lacking in class. On the positive side, he's honorable to a fault in his work life, going so far as to risk his career for the purpose of not selling out his clients. And he bails our female lead out of some bad situations and doesn't really ask for anything in return at times. So, you know, this guy isn't that bad, right? He's got some good qualities. So, if you really end up being offended, like some reviews that I've read, by the male lead in this film, I've got a recommendation for you. Go check out the Korean film Rules of Dating from 2005. The guy in that film will be right up your alley. Right up your alley. So what are the weaknesses of Mood of the Day? Well, the script writing is rather contrived at times, because the female lead develops a special interest in contacting a star basketball player that the male lead has mentored for years. for his own purposes, you know what I mean? So what are the chances that a company that you work for, would have a specific use for a star basketball player? I don't know. Kind of a coincidence there. But still, it helps to keep the characters kind of in the same vicinity for much of the runtime. I do think that the leads are developed enough to make the film work, but they're not exceptionally complex or anything. This makes the film feel a little bit like it's lacking in depth on the character development side. And the final problem I have with this movie is that the ending is pretty cliched. It has a very cliched ending to it. I think they could have ended things a little bit better or in an unorthodox way. But overall, I think the positives definitely outweigh the negatives to this one. So I enjoyed Mood of the Day, and I recommend it. It's a film that I have in my collection, actually, and I see myself rewatching it again in the future. When I'm in the mood for like a well-acted, laid-back rom-com. It is available on Region 3 DVD with English subtitles. And as always, I'll see you next time.